My husband looked me in the eyes, stood beside the woman he cheated with, and said the words I never thought I would hear. Take your belongings and leave. He smiled because he believed everything in our house belonged to him. The furniture, the luxury decorations, the memories, even the home where we built our life together. The woman beside him was already choosing which rooms she wanted to change. But they made one huge mistake. They forgot who paid for everything. And when I opened the folder I had kept for years, their confidence disappeared in seconds. My name is Olivia Bennett, and I was 32 years old when I discovered that the home I spent years building was never just a house. It was proof of everything I had sacrificed. Before everything fell apart, I thought I had the kind of marriage people admired. My husband Marcus and I met when we were both young, full of dreams and plans for the future. He was ambitious, confident, and always had a vision for where he wanted to go. I fell in love with that determination. When we got married, we didn't have much. We started with a small apartment, secondhand furniture, and a lot of hope. But we were happy. At least, I thought we were. Marcus wanted to build a successful career, and I wanted to build a stable life together. I supported him through late nights, stressful moments, and years when his career came before everything else. While he chased opportunities, I handled the details. I managed our finances. I saved money. I planned our investments. I made sure every bill was paid on time. When we finally bought our dream home, I remember standing in the empty living room, holding the keys, and thinking, we made it. That house became our symbol. Every piece of furniture had a story. Every painting, every decoration, every renovation reflected years of hard work. But slowly, things began to change. Marcus started coming home later. His phone was always in his hand. He became protective of simple things that never bothered him before. At first, I told myself I was imagining it. I didn't want to believe the man I built a life with could be hiding something from me. Then one night, I saw a message on his phone that wasn't meant for my eyes. It wasn't just a random conversation. It was a secret with another woman. My heart dropped as I realized the late nights, the excuses, and the sudden distance all had a reason. Marcus wasn't just busy. He was building another life while still living mine. I thought confronting him would bring honesty. I thought he would apologize. But instead, he looked at me like I was the problem. And a few days later, standing inside the home I had worked so hard to create, he said the words I never expected to hear. Take your belongings and leave. What Marcus didn't realize was that he had no idea what actually belonged to him. The hardest part wasn't discovering that Marcus had betrayed me. The hardest part was watching him act like he had already replaced me. After I found out about the affair, Marcus stopped pretending. He became colder, almost like he wanted me to be the one who walked away first. And then I met her. Her name was Jessica. She was the woman Marcus had been secretly seeing for months. The woman he thought was going to take my place. The first time I saw her inside our home, I understood everything. She wasn't uncomfortable. She wasn't embarrassed. She walked through the rooms like she already owned them. She ran her fingers across the kitchen counters, looked at the artwork on the walls, and admired the furniture we carefully chose together. This place is beautiful, she said with a smile. I stood there quietly, watching the woman who had entered my marriage like she had simply moved into a vacant apartment. Marcus stood beside her, more confident than I had seen him in months. He thought he had won. He told me he wanted a divorce. He said our relationship had changed and that we both deserved to move on. But the way he spoke made one thing clear. He wasn't just leaving me. He was expecting me to disappear. Take your personal things, he said. Everything else can stay. I almost laughed. Because Marcus believed the house was his. He believed the furniture was his. He believed the life around him belonged to him. What he didn't know was that while he was busy building a secret relationship, I was the one keeping our entire world together. The designer furniture in the living room? I paid for it. The expensive renovations? I managed them. The documents, payments, and financial records? They all passed through my hands. For years, Marcus saw my organization as something small, something ordinary. He never realized that the same skills I used to build our home were the same skills that would protect me when everything fell apart. And the strangest part? I wasn't screaming. I wasn't begging. I wasn't fighting. I simply nodded and said, "Okay." That confused him, because he expected a broken wife. He didn't expect a woman who already knew exactly what she was going to do next. The moment Marcus told me to leave, he thought he was watching the end of our marriage. But he didn't realize something important. He wasn't watching me lose. He was watching me prepare. The next morning, instead of packing my bags, I called an attorney. I didn't call because I wanted revenge. I called because after years of managing our finances, I knew one thing better than anyone. Facts matter. Feelings can be manipulated. Promises can be broken. But documents don't lie. When I sat across from my attorney, I placed every piece of information I had collected on the table. The property records, the bank statements, the renovation contracts, the purchase agreements. She looked through everything carefully, then looked back at me. "Olivia," she said, "are you aware how much of this is connected to you?" I nodded, but hearing someone else say it made everything feel real. Years earlier, when Marcus and I bought our home, he was focused on getting approval for his career goals. I was the one who organized the finances, handled the paperwork, and made sure every detail was correct. When we renovated the house, I kept every receipt, every contract, every agreement, not because I expected this day to come, because that was simply who I was. Careful, responsible, prepared. Marcus always joked that I saved too many documents. He would laugh and say, "Who keeps receipts from 5 years ago?" I did. And now those receipts told a story. The expensive kitchen renovation he bragged about? I had the records. The designer furniture Jessica admired? I had the purchase agreements. The artwork and decorations they assumed were part of their new life. I had proof of ownership. Even some of the investments Marcus thought he controlled were connected to accounts I had carefully built over the years. Then my attorney said something that made me realize how badly Marcus had underestimated me. He thought you would leave quietly. I looked down at the papers in front of me. That was exactly what he thought. He saw my silence as weakness. He thought because I wasn't screaming, I was powerless. But he didn't understand. I wasn't staying quiet because I had nothing to say. I was staying quiet because I was waiting for the right moment. And that moment came when Marcus received the first legal notice. For the first time since he told me to leave, he realized the woman he underestimated had been prepared all along. My phone rang that evening. It was Marcus. And judging by the panic in his voice, he had finally discovered the truth. The next time I walked into that house, I wasn't the same woman who had left it days earlier. Before, I walked through those doors as a wife, trying to save her marriage. This time, I walked through them as a woman who finally understood her own worth. Marcus was standing in the living room with Jessica beside him. They looked confident, almost comfortable, like they had already started their new life. But when they saw the folder in my hand, their expressions changed. "What's that?" Marcus asked. I placed the documents on the table. "Answers," I said. He looked confused. Then he opened the folder. At first, he seemed annoyed, like he expected another emotional argument. Another desperate conversation where I begged him to reconsider. But as he turned through the pages, his confidence slowly disappeared. "This isn't possible," he said. I looked at him calmly. "It is." Jessica stepped closer. "Marcus, you said everything was taken care of." And that was the moment I saw something I never expected. She wasn't angry at me. She was realizing she had trusted someone who didn't actually know what he was doing. Marcus looked at me with frustration. "You planned this?" I shook my head. "No, Marcus. I didn't plan this. You did." He stared at me. "You made choices. You lied. You brought another person into our home and expected me to walk away like nothing happened." His voice became louder. "You just wanted to punish me." I almost felt sorry for him. Almost. Because he still believed this was something I had done to him. He couldn't understand that consequences weren't revenge. They were simply the result of his own decisions. "I didn't take anything from you," I told him. "I protected what was mine." The room became silent. Jessica looked around at the beautiful home she thought she was about to inherit. The same home she had admired. the same home she believed represented her future. Now she realized it was never the prize Marcus promised. It was never his to give away. Marcus lowered the papers slowly. For the first time, he looked afraid. Not angry. Not confident. Afraid. Because he finally understood the truth. He hadn't replaced me. He had risked everything for a life he couldn't actually have. And I had already started building the life I deserved without him. After everything was finalized, I thought I would feel like I had lost something. For years, I believed my marriage was the foundation of my life. I thought losing Marcus meant losing the future I had worked so hard to build. But the truth surprised me. I didn't lose my life. I got it back. The first few weeks after the divorce were difficult. There were moments when I walked into my new apartment and felt strange because it was smaller than our old house. But then I realized something. It was peaceful. There were no lies hidden behind closed doors. No unanswered questions. No feeling like I had to compete with someone who didn't even respect me. For the first time in years, my home felt like my own. Marcus eventually moved out of the house and tried to continue the life he thought he had planned. But things didn't work out the way he imagined. Jessica started questioning everything once she realized Marcus had not been honest about what he could provide. The dream he sold her was built on assumptions and promises he couldn't keep. The relationship that started with betrayal ended the same way. They blamed each other for what happened. But neither of them wanted to admit the truth. Their choices created their consequences. As for me, I focused on rebuilding. I started traveling again. I spent time with friends I had ignored while trying to keep my marriage together. I invested in myself. And slowly, I became someone I hadn't been in years. Confident. Independent. Happy. Looking back, the most surprising thing wasn't that Marcus underestimated my knowledge or my preparation. It was that he underestimated my strength. He thought because I stayed calm, I was weak. He thought because I didn't fight loudly, I had already lost. But sometimes the quietest person in the room is the one who sees everything clearly. I didn't need to destroy Marcus. I didn't need revenge. I simply needed to walk away and let the truth speak for itself. The woman who was told to take her belongings and leave discovered something far more valuable. She discovered herself. And that was something no one could ever take away from me.